Hello everybody, my name is Cluckboy and welcome to another Minecraft video. In today's video, I will do a full guide on how to perform as a survivor in VampireZ. I will go over every single detail about this role and so that you can perform better and maybe even win most of your games. Now I suppose that this will be a very long video because I will be going over basically everything about being a survivor, so I will put timestamps over every single things I will be going over in this video, but I hope you enjoy and let's get this thing started. Now here are some pretty useful tips that you could do before starting to play the game. The first one, get a decent amount of coins. I would say 30 to 50k would be enough to get started, but get a decent amount of coins. The reason I say that is that VampireZ is quite a pay-to-win game. You need to pay a lot of money to constantly get those wins. I know that's sad, but it's the truth. There is 3 easy ways to get coins. The first one is network boosters, but obviously not everyone can afford to buy some network boosters. The second one is from arcade coins to VampireZ coins. If you really want to try hard VampireZ, you'll have to make some sacrifices. So you can turn the arcade coins into VampireZ coins, or if you don't want to do any of those two, you could go with the third choices, which is go in a game and farm zombies or by casting. More on that later. Another tip I would give you is to get some decent PvP skills. Now you don't need to be a complete god at PvP, but if you are the guy that keeps missing your shots and all of that, you might want to improve a little. One useful tip I have for that is F3 plus B. That will make you be able to see hitboxes, and you can completely abuse that to your advantage. Now I'm going to go over some stuff that you might want to know while you're surviving in VampireZ. First of all, you have to survive 21 rounds against vampires and zombies. The rounds themselves last for anywhere between 90 seconds to 20 seconds. And each round there are a certain amount of zombies that spawn at specific locations. Though the rounds themselves are pretty much identical, lasting a certain amount of time and spawning a certain amount of zombies, there is one round in specific that is different from the others, and that is round 17. During that round, zombies get a strength 3 boost. Now you might be saying it's round 16 because that's when the message appears, but round 16 it's only the message that appears. There is no strength boost in zombies. To help you survive the rounds, you are given a shop where you can spend gold to buy stuff that will help you into surviving. Now here is a screenshot of the shop. You won't be using all of these items. In fact, I believe the only ones that you will be using are these ones. I'll go over each one individually. Now first off, we have the iron sword. Now at the beginning of the game, you'll be given a stone sword with one unbreaking 1. That might be useful, but you can easily upgrade it into an iron sword because that thing only costs 5 gold, and I believe you start with 25 gold, so it's nothing too expensive. You'll do more damage with it, and that's why I believe you should really upgrade to an iron sword and not keep your beginning sword. Next up, we have the light sword. Now the light sword, which costs 200 gold, is basically an iron sword but with smite 3. Now what smite 3 does is it boosts the damage done to zombies. Now with a light sword, you can do the exact same damage to a zombie as a god sword would do. However, it does no damage boost to vampires. Against vampires, you only do the regular damage an iron sword does. However, because of the increased damage to zombies, it's in my opinion the best farming sword in the game, especially seeing it only costs 200 gold. So it's a totally affordable choice that can easily give you a lot of coins. Next up we have the Rage and the God Sword. Now they're both basically the same thing. Rage Sword is a diamond sword with sharpness 1, and God Sword adds up the knockback 1 and a fire aspect 1. Now these two both are the best swords in the game. It's your opinion which one is the better, but over the other one. However, I believe Rage Sword is better than God Sword, since God Sword has that annoying knockback, which makes it harder to combo hit a vampire. But Rage Sword removes that knockback, making it easier to actually slay vampires. However, these two are both the best sword in the game. Next up, we have the Forged Iron Armor. Now what the Forged Iron Armor is basically Iron Armor but with Protection 1. That might not seem like much, but it actually makes a big difference when you're wearing it, because you take less damage. That's pretty much what Protection 1 does. So that's why many people choose to have this armor instead of the original Iron Armor. Next up, we have the Diamond Kit and the God Armor. Now, what these things do is they're Diamond Armor. One just has Protection 1 and one costs 1000 less gold. Now, God Armor may be better than Diamond Armor, but Diamond Armor is by far the cheapest option, and that's why, in my opinion, these two are exactly the same thing, because also these two armors are also just Diamond Armor, and when you're solo surviving, which can happen, it doesn't do a noticeable difference. However, if you are just starting out, I would suggest buying God Armor first, since as I said, it would protect you from more damage. We move on to consumables, and the first thing we're looking at is God Food. Now when you buy it, it will give you 1 golden apple and 1 golden carrot. Now though the golden carrot is nice, the real thing that most people want is the golden apple. Now this is the best healing item in the game. It heals you from 2 hearts, and it also gives you regeneration. Now though this is a food item, most people consider it as a healing item, because the golden carrots are rarely used. The only thing most people use when buying this is the golden apples. If you can't afford God Food, however, I would suggest you to buy cookies, because these things cost 10 gold, I believe. They give you 5 cookies, which should be enough to last you the whole entire game. Thing is the following: you lose hunger very slowly during the game, and it isn't really how much the food item heals, but how much food items you have. And just by buying this, you receive 5 cookies, which should be enough to last you the whole entire game. So if you're running out of food, you can just buy the cookies, and it will last you until the end of the game. Then we move on to health pots. Now what this is instant health 1 pots, and they give you 2 of them each time you buy it. Now these only cost 20 gold, and they are frequently bought because these ones have no delays. However, with golden apples, you have to wait 5 seconds between golden apples. Finally, we arrive at the bane of my life when I'm vamping. It's the strength pots, or the god potions. Now what this does is it gives you 1 strength potion that lasts 1 minute and 30 seconds, and regeneration that lasts 2 minutes. Now the thing that really shines in these potions is the strength potion. The strength, it doesn't just add a couple of hearts, it straight up doubles your damage plus a little bit extra of hearts, which means when you have this on, you can 2-shot vampires that have 20 HP and 3-shot vampires that have 40 HP. Now though this is very useful, it is very expensive, and yeah. Finally, we arrive at the 2 casting books. Now what this does is it gives you a set of leather armor with protection 1 called Holy Armor, and a book. Now when you use the book, you need to wait 10 seconds before being able to use it. You will cast a ring of healing or of strength. Healing is what this does is it gives players around you either regeneration or strength. I already talked about strength and the regenerations. These are just potion effects, but when the players around you receive a kill while inside your ring, you will also receive golden coins, which makes this the quickest way to get coins in VampireZ if you're not using network boosters or arcade coins. The only problem with this is that, of course, you're wearing leather armor, which is super vulnerable, and you cannot attack. In other words, you're taking a risk. Now the final thing I'll talk about is loot chests. Now occasionally when you're wandering around in this VampireZ map, you'll find a chest in the ground or somewhere awkward that have flame particles around them. If you spot that, open it immediately. Now what these things contain is usually a weapon, some garlic bread, and a cool item. Now the cool item is what you want to get. One thing that you can get from the loot chest is Trouble the Exploding Cat. Now what this will do is it will summon a cat that will run away and explode in 5 seconds. Now zombies are attracted to this cat, so if you spawn it, the zombies will go after the cat, and after 5 seconds it will explode, basically killing all the zombies. You can also find raw gold inside the loot chests, which is basically gives you more gold. Simple as that. Then there are the wooden stakes. It's basically a stick, but that can kill a vampire one shot and that self-destructs itself after using it. And finally, by far the most useful things you can get from these chests is either the armor or holy water. Now you can get a piece of the armor, and it's literally the armor because it's called the chest plate, the helmet, the leggings, and the boots. These are the respective names. Those are diamond armor with protection 1, so basically god armor, but also with unbreaking 10, so basically it will never break. And then there's holy water, which when you splash it, it damages by 30 hearts all the vamps around you and gives them poison 4. This is really useful, especially when you're getting swarmed by the vampires, because then you can just splash one of these and it will disarm the 40 HP vamps while instant killing the 20 HP vamps. So very useful. Now I'm going to go over the maps of VampireZ and how to choose a good spot. Now there are 9 maps in VampireZ, being Village, Church, Erias, Dark Valley, Plundered, Pyramids, Kudong, Dusk, and Cavern. Now, to help you in VampireZ, a good thing to do would be to at least learn a bit of the layout of how each map is, because each map has their own buildings, their own good spots, their own. The loot chests always spawn at the same area. They don't spawn randomly everywhere in the map. In fact, they are specific to where zombies spawn. You should also know that some maps are better for surviving than others. For example, you have a better chance at survival in Dark Valley than in Cavern. And that's about it for the maps. Now on to choosing a spot. Now when you're choosing a map, you want to check 3 criteria. First of all, you want to make sure that zombies cannot reach you. Second of all, you want to make sure that baby zombies won't be able to swarm you easily, and that you can easily knock them out of the spot. And third of all, you must make sure that vampires have a hard time hitting you while you have an easier time hitting the vampires. If these 3 criteria are met, then you have found yourself a very good spot, or maybe even a god spot, one that is too overpowered to stay for long. Also, generally, the best spots are the ones where everyone goes to. I say generally because that's not always true. So a good tip when you just started VampireZ is to just follow everyone when the game starts, because chances are you'll find yourself a very good spot there. Now I have listed a list of very good spots either in the description or in the comments that are very commonly used, so check that out if you want, but I'm going to move on to the next point. Now here are a couple of common mistakes you would like to avoid. First of all, do not underestimate the vampires. Yeah, I know they are just wearing a leather chestplate and leather pants, and they are using a sharpness 1 fang. This looks ridiculous, but do not underestimate them. They can easily kill you if you do. Now though you have access to a lot of cool items such as armor and sword, they have access to a lot of cool buffs that allow them to, let's say, grow an extra health bar, instant heal, spawn baby zombies with armor and swords, and quadruple their damage. So yeah, they're pretty strong. In short, don't underestimate the vampires, or don't underestimate in short. On the topic of underestimating, do not underestimate zombies. Yeah, sure, in the beginning, zombies can be really easy to kill since they move so slowly and there's so few of them, but at one point they will start completely swarming you, and also, as I said earlier in the video, at round 17 they will get a massive damage boost, which means they can easily kill you. Now let's just say you just got some holy water. That's great. Whatever you do, don't just use it on a single vamp. It's completely pointless. You can just sword him to death. Wait till you're, say, like, sworn by them, and that would be a good time to use them. If you are to use it on a single vamp, either he's completely annihilating you, or you shouldn't really use it. On the topic of holy water, use them one at a time. Oftentimes I see people get 10 holy waters, that's great, it's super overpowered, but then a single vampire comes and they just waste it all. Come on. A single holy water is able to do 30 HP of damage, you don't need 10 to kill a single 20 HP vampire. It's basic game knowledge. And finally, and please do not do this mistake, iron armor is better than holy armor. Oftentimes, let's say when a caster gets killed, or a caster decides, you know what, I'm not going to cast, they will throw out their armor, somebody picks it up, and decides to wear it. I mean, come on, okay, I get it, holy is associated to God, and God is godly, but holy armor is at its base still leather armor, and leather armor is worse than iron armor. So please, stop doing that. That is unless you want to cast, but that's pretty obvious. So you decided to watch these tips and you survived. That's great. But your fellow other survivors didn't watch these videos and all got slain by the vampires. That's not great because now your once friends are now your enemies who wants you on their team. And you're the only one remaining. What to do in this scenario? First things first, I would suggest you to look at what round you're at. If you're towards the end game, say like around 15 to 17 or 20 or something like that, then you're in good luck because you only have a little bit of time you need to survive. However, if you're say alone starting from round 3, then you're pretty unlucky because let's just say you're gonna have a bad time. Another thing you want to watch for is in which map you're in. Some maps are easier to solo survive than others. For example, if you're in Village, Dusk, Pyramids, or Church, then you're lucky because these maps are easier for solo surviving. However, if you're in Cavern or Dark Valley, then I would wish you luck because it's harder to solo survive there. If the result of these two criteria is bad, I would suggest you to leave the current game and basically reward, because you're most likely going to die and lose a lot of coins. Also, just a little note that solo surviving isn't the cheapest thing in the world, so make sure you're willing to pay a lot of coins and you actually have that many coins, because you might be losing a lot. Now, so you decided to face the monster itself. Good. Now, what will you need? First of all, minimum diamond armor. I mean, if you're in protection 1, the iron armor, not only is the armor durability less longer, but you will also take more damage, which means that you basically won't survive as long. You should also get a decent amount of healing items. Trust me, you'll be using them. And finally, you should get yourself a couple of strength potions, because those things will help you a lot, and you will easily annihilate 20 HP vamp hordes. So if you manage to be the only survivor remaining, that must mean that you're in a pretty decent spot. So let's say you're staying in that spot. So first of all, make sure you have strength active, because that thing will be helpful and not just a little bit. Now, and basically that's it. Just annihilate any vampire that wants to come and destroy you. Maybe slash at the zombies if you can reach them, and overall try not to get knocked down. You will also be healing a lot since you have basically all the vampires attacking you. So yeah, you will be healing a lot. I would suggest you use the healing pots first, but if you have a lot of health loss, then your healing order should be 1 golden apple, 2 healing pots, and if that's still enough, eat another golden apple and drink 2 other healing pots, and you'll be back at full health. Because one, you're solo surviving. Your main goal is basically to keep your health as high as possible to manage to survive until the end. Final thing I want to talk about is armor. Now, if you're not solo surviving for 2 minutes only, then your armor will most likely break. So you must check an eye on your armor, because even just a helmet will make a difference in the damage the vampire do to you. Now your armor will always have a breaking order. That is, first the helmet, then the boots, then the leggings, and finally the chest plate. So you must be prepared to put a replacement armor whenever one of these pieces break, otherwise you won't be able to out-heal your attackers anymore, and well, it's the end. Just a quick little side note, the thing that makes solo surviving actually possible is a neat little thing called Resistance 2. It's basically what it's named. It's a potion effect, Resistance 2. What it does is make you take a lot less damage, making solo surviving actually possible. Resistance 2 is automatically activated after there's only a certain amount of survivor remaining and you're not near another survivor. So let's say you're doing great and all is doing well, but then massive surprise attack and you get knocked out of your spot and you cannot go up anywhere. Now you must survive right in the open. This is called running. When you're running, it's basically the same trick. Just out-heal them and watch your armor and survive until the end. However, there's one major difference, and that's that forget about attacking, just try to out-heal them. Because now, when you're out in the open, there is a horde of zombies behind you that can easily completely wreck your armor. In some maps, when you're knocked out of your spot, it's basically game over, because there's basically no way that you won't be cornered by the horde of zombie, and that horde of zombie is completely mortal. Now, even running has some spots that you want to go, and the only criteria when you're running is find a spot where there isn't a lot of obstacles where zombies can completely corner you and annihilate you. A few examples are the ice rink in the village, near the vamp spawn in Dusk, between the two pyramids in Pyramids, and the wheat fields in Church. Final tip for running is use your torches and the occasional night vision at your advantage. When you use a torch or the night vision comes, you are no longer forced to walk and you can actually sprint. Now, while sprinting, you are moving at the exact same speed as the vampire do, which means not only the vampire will have a harder time hitting you, but you will also be able to easily outrun the zombie horde. Final tip for running is beware of startling. A vampire can startle a survivor when he hits him in the back. So to do that, either face the back in front or face the back on the side, because in both cases, vampires will have a harder time startling you, making out healing a lot easier. And that's about it. Now that you have learned all the knowledge you need to perform in VampireZ, go ahead and use these tricks to your advantage. You might even end up on the leaderboards. That is, if you really don't have a life. But that's about it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button, and if you want to support me, you already know what to do. Now, if you feel that some things I said in the video is wrong, or if I missed something, which is definitely possible because I'm not the best player of VampireZ, and it's pretty possible that I missed something, then please let me know in the comment section, and I will get a check. But thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Honey, I'm perfect 10.